Margaret Kuhlman of Soul Astrology. This new moon is at 4.5 degrees Pisces, and Mercury at 9 degrees Pisces is retrograding towards it, so I would consider those as a group. As a group, it sextiles Uranus, the green line there, and it sextiles also Mars, who's on the south node, which means that it's trine the north node. Uranus is sextile the north node. So there's something about this Pisces new moon that is very important for how we need to be at the moment. Pisces has no boundaries. It's a sense of the wholeness of things, that nothing is wrong. It's all part of the whole and moving. Retrograde Mercury tends to encourage inner thought, contemplation, especially in Pisces, being sensitive so that one is in touch with one's intuitive ability. Pisces needs to be soft, relaxed. Tension makes for hardness, brittleness and edges. So we need to be relaxed in the wholeness of things, the spirit. And this is really interesting because that connection to Mars and the South Node in Capricorn is focusing our consciousness in on the material aspect of life, not the bits and pieces of it, but rather the way it actually works, so that we get to see, intuit, realize what in our practical world is not working, and with some inspiration realizing what would work better. And of course we can only do this if we step back from that cold face working on things and get a kind of overview. And this is the lovely connection to Uranus in Taurus, who's asking us to allow the world in itself and its own movement and its own turning to be free to grow in the appropriate way at the moment. With the North Node being in Cancer, all of this growth and changing and intuitive relaxedness, it's all towards nurture and care. So Cancer being the sign of mother and child, it's as though the umbilical cord of our life is going straight to the source, that we are fed by the wholeness. We are not deserted. As we realize this, we can trust that all is in order. And there you have that lovely connection between Jupiter and Neptune. The growth on the practical level, the expansion that we are endeavouring to make, is blessed by the angels, as long as it's one of those things that works. All ventures will not prosper. It will be those that work for the whole that prosper. Venus stands out quite strikingly apart from all of this beautiful cradle of aspects. In Aries, it's a tendency to relate purely from one's own perspective, not so easily accepting other people's viewpoints. On a mental level, we can do it, but when it actually comes to face-to-face relating, we're liable to find ourselves sparking off each other's differences. Venus most exactly is square to Jupiter, so this is the kind of vacillating between two completely different fields of our life expression. The very practical and grounded and sensible of Capricorn, and the what about me of Aries, with Squares, I like to think, if we can get them both operating in the same field, they add together and make a beautiful new way of dealing with things. Perhaps the bit that they're both working on is what works for humanity, and me being a member of humanity, I am included. And that when I think of what works for humanity, I must think of all the individuals in it, so that I don't ride roughshod in decisions over the individuals in a group. It's like trying to get it right for the group, bearing in mind how different we all are. The full moon chart has got a lovely pattern, and again it's bringing lots of these energies together in a way that works so beautifully. The sun on Neptune, all our hearts being open. It is perhaps reminding us that we are spirit having a human experience, a physical and earthy experience. And in so doing, we don't cut ourselves off from the physical. It's joining in. So perhaps from a heart spiritual perspective, the ability to see that all material life is actually spirit appearing to manifest itself in many different ways. With the full moon opposite the sun, of course, being in Virgo, we're able to handle all the different ways that spirit may be expressing itself. The moon is trining Mars, Jupiter and Pluto, which indicates that we will naturally be engaging in the practical needs, in going ahead with whatever we have committed ourselves to. These projects that I was suggesting last month, continuing to unfold. Mercury is not connecting to anything. In Aquarius, and within hours of this full moon, becoming again direct, finishing that retrograde period. It's like opening our eyes again on the whole thing, coming out from inside and recognizing that it's all important. But it's the heart connection which is really important to focus on. In terms of our personal life, from the full moon onwards, we are being asked to let go of our sacred cows, you might say, with the Venus being in Taurus and right on Uranus, that we need to free ourselves from past constructs, from the way we have decided to do it before. It's shifting habit patterns, and first of all, of course, you have to recognize them. The assumptions, the expectations we put on each other, we have to see that that's what we're doing, and as we see them, it'll be easier to let them go. There is a square to Saturn showing that it isn't actually going to be that easy, but that with our commitment to moving from how it has been to including more care and gentleness in our relationships, we have, in a way, the grit required to push through our own inner difficulties, to make our relationships more viable, more pleasant. As I've written in the letter, being able to admit when we're wrong has wonderful repercussions. For the whole of this month, Uranus is sextiling the North Node, trining the South Node. The South Node is moving backwards, Uranus moving forwards, so it is just this month that they are so closely relating, which points to an emphasis on freeing ourselves from that which physically holds us back. So it might be habit patterns in our health regime, so that we don't have the energy or flexibility or whatever it is to do as much as we could. We hold ourselves back by having too much stuff. Everything that we hold, that we keep in our space, attaches to some part of our energy. So stuff held for a long time and never looked at is actually holding quite a lot of our energy in the past. The things we have around us that make us remember somebody that we meant to write to and it's too late now, or make us feel bad about something, or something that we really don't like, but we just haven't got around to throwing it out. These things are bringing negativity into our space all the time. Clearing out, clearing the decks for whatever action is due next. And it's still okay to not know what that is yet. Thank you. We love you. Keep going. All is not clear yet, but it will be. There is no shame in not knowing. It gives space for your action to be appropriate to the needs of now. Never give up on yourself. You are perfect as Spirit brought you into being. There are no mistakes in wholeness, only turning movements in unfolding time. You are in a turning moment. Take care of yourselves. We love you.